Okay. Let's just post that. How you doing, Joshy? You good? Just gonna post it on my Twitter. Get people joining, and then we'll start. All right. Okay. Shut up, Will. Thanks, Archie. Okay. Hello and welcome back to Daring and Doing for the third episode of Tottenham Transfers. There's been a lot happening today on all the latest transfers and rumours. A lot of reliable sources coming out about Kolo Muani. So let's get into it. So, first of all, Paul O'Keefe. How you doing, Matty? How you doing? You good? So, Paul O'Keefe, Ben Jacobs, Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, they're all reporting on Kolo Muani and a potential deal there. Nothing from Alistair Gold yet, which I actually... Is there something to that? Because, I mean, we're going to see if it's a smokescreen. Playing robots. Thanks for joining, mate. Yeah, we're going to see if it's a smokescreen. Because I've got a feeling that it's not going to happen, but we'll get into that in a minute. Also got a bit on Douglas Luiz. A couple of Premier League clubs, according to Sky Sports, approaching Douglas Luiz over a potential loan with option or obligation. Would he fit our number 6 position? Do we need a midfielder? Do we need to prioritise other positions? That's a question to ask. But let me know in the chat before we start getting into the details. Let me know if you would like Douglas Luiz, or if you think that's a deal maybe we look for in the summer. The thing about Douglas Luiz is that that sort of deal is so January. Do you know what I mean? When a player moves to a big club in the summer, we can't do a deal with Aston Villa because they need to generate funds, so they sell abroad. Douglas Luiz is an unbelievable player, and it hasn't worked out for some reason or another. And now we're linked with a loan move. It's so typical, isn't it, of like a January type deal, and that's what they're talking about when it comes to if opportunities arise, because he would fit the system. I think potentially as that number 6. I think again it's another one of those. He's another one of those profiles that he kind of fits in that Bentancur, Bissouma, Sarr, Gray category, where I see him as that 6/8 hybrid next to a destroyer number 6. I don't see him as an out and out number 6. And when he was given license to go forward, when he was playing next to Kamara last season for Aston Villa, he thrived. And if he's more of a box to box role, he's a much better player, I think. And I feel like we might harness him. We might sort of hold him back if he played in that out and out 6 role for us. But I mean, I definitely think he'd be better than Bissouma. I'm losing hope with Bissouma at the moment. Gary Hunter, how you doing, mate? He says Douglas Luiz much better than the majority of our midfielders. Don't think he's what we actually need, though. Yeah, I'm in the same camp. I think. I mean, if he's available, go for it. But then I don't sort of go away from other deals and sort of just get him for the sake of it and sort of. I feel like that's just a player in that it's sort of. It's a bit of a false transfer, if you know what I mean. We don't need him necessarily. We need other positions, but he's a body in that kind of excites the fans. It might be a bit of a distraction. I mean, I'd take him 100%, but I want us more to prioritise other positions. But yeah, I don't think he's what we need right now. But as a Billy Price, how you doing, mate? You good? He says as much as a 6 would be nice, they will prioritise that position in the summer. Yeah. Is it the case? Let's just get into it. We'll talk about Douglas Luiz straight away. We might as well get into it because we talked about Kolo Muani yesterday a little bit, but obviously there's been advancements going on. Let's talk about Douglas Luiz. Archie Quinn says, think Luiz would be shite as a lone DM for us. Needs to play pivot, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. I definitely see him as more of a double pivot player. I don't see him as an out-and-out number 6. I think he'd look similar to Bissouma Bentancur in that number 6 position. And I mean, we've got 2 players there already. I don't see him as a different. He's much better. He's got a much better passing range than both of them, I think. He's a physical player. He's like a dog in the midfield. He like bites down. He's a bit dirty off memory, but and he's a set piece taker, which can be nice. But I just don't think he's what we need right now. It's just an option, isn't it? It's an exciting opportunity, which kind of makes me feel like we'd definitely be one of the clubs looking for a loan. Like 100%, it's Spurs, isn't it? It'd be so Spurs if we go for a player that we don't need because it's an opportunity that's popped up for a loan with an option to buy. Do you know what I mean? Cardoso possibly in Jan, then further upgrade in the summer. That's the thing. If we are linked with Douglas Luiz, if we are one of the clubs looking for Douglas Luiz, because Paul O'Keefe actually said that it's interesting because there has been interest there in the like before, and then he went to Juventus. If we get Douglas Luiz, we'll definitely still need an out and out number 6. People talking about Baleba. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think he's out of our reach now. Cardoso, these types of players. And there's not much room in the squad for him. I don't think there's not much room for Douglas Luiz, because if you bring Douglas Luiz, you'd have to probably get rid of Bissouma. And then if you bring in then a Johnny Cardoso, you're adding more bodies into the midfield, and that's blocking the pathways to the likes of Saab, Bergvall, and Archie Gray. I mean, Archie Gray, everyone's gagging to see him in the midfield, isn't they? If we're signing extra bodies for that position, it's kind of blocking that pathway. So I kind of think that we'd need. I don't think it's a player we actually need. It's exciting because it's like, oh, he's an option. He's on the market. We kind of don't want him to go to rival clubs because we don't want the rival clubs to strengthen. But I guess in the position we're in, we kind of just need to focus on ourselves. He's not someone we actually need, but I wouldn't complain if we got him. I'd be a little bit worried about bodies and numbers. I mean, this is ridiculous because we haven't got any players at the moment. Everyone's injured, but you're thinking long term. You'd have to get rid of Bissouma and Bentancur, I think, to get in a Cardoso and Douglas Luiz, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Drew Badenoch. How do you pronounce your name, mate? Badenoch? Badenoch? A traditional 6 Ange won't use. Isn't that what he said? He prefers 2 8s. Yeah, and that's the thing. I was thinking about it the other day. It's kind of linked with the left-sided left back issue. That position don't really exist on the market because it's so specific on the profiles needed for those like number 6. They have to be as agile and press proven as Bissouma, yet more of a defensive destroyer, and also like a distributor. That player is, I mean, unless you're dropping 100 mil on like a Chouameni or something, I don't know. That's off the top of my head. That player doesn't really exist in the market, but that profile is perfect for what Ange needs in that sort of base of the midfield. So you kind of have to go for sort of, it's like, what is it, round pegs and square holes, or square pegs and round holes. You're gonna have to. I feel like the best way to go about it is buying different options, different profiles. So you have, say, a Bentancur or a Bissouma. You bring in a Cardoso just in case the game needs a Cardoso, if you know what I mean. So, but no, I think he has said that he's sort of wants those 2 8s in midfield. But I just don't think, when we're looking at the market, it's the same with looking for a Van der Ven sort of cover, and it's like Van der Ven's a unicorn. Like, who's out there in the market who can also play left back in the doggy role? It's like, that's Fugazi, isn't it? It don't exist. Let's read some of the comments. Miss some Proby, how you doing, mate? Says Young Will. Gary Hunt says, think we need to focus on getting the right profiles in for Ange. Like Solanke, getting the right profile and massively improves us, even if the player themselves aren't world class. Archie Quinn says, seems a bit mental only going for one defender and not a centre back and a left back to me. Yeah, I agree. I feel like I mean, Paul O'Keefe sort of said that it's all about timings of deals. So we're going to go for an attacker first, or that's what it seems like. It's a bit frustrating because you're sort of looking at the clock, looking at the fixtures coming up, and you're thinking, oh, imagine if we could just get that centre back over the line, which isn't going to happen. But at the same time, it's gone a bit quiet on left back and centre back. And I know we weren't expecting much, but I think Paul O'Keefe's saying that we want a centre back regardless. I feel like it's going to be one. Vuskovic is coming in the summer. I feel like it's a bit unfair to sort of rely on him heavily and not sign a player to sort of help ease him in. But left back, I mean, what? Let me know what's more vital right now in the way the season's going, the injuries, a centre back or a left back. Because obviously we're looking for that hybrid, but I feel like that don't really exist unless you're going for like a Euro Hato. Like these players, they're not available on the market. I don't think we'd appeal to them at the moment, and they'd be too expensive for a January move. David Hanko maybe, but I mean, I don't know. It's a bit quiet at the moment. It's a bit worrying. But again, Lange works in darkness. Maybe cooking something up. I think he's a good fit as a striker, not a wide player. Is that Kolo Muani you're talking about? Like, not the poly mate. Kemi Badenoch? I don't know who that is. Mate, I'm sorry. Sorry, just reading the comments at the moment. Let me just have a sip of my tea because my mouth feels like Gandhi's flip-flop at the moment. Okay. 6 and 2/8 as Kulu Madison is his ideal solution, I think. Everyone drop a like. Thanks, Gary. The pig, what's up, man? Hope the snow isn't too crazy today for you. Is it snowing in America? Or is it probably? What's the snow like? I mean, we were supposed to have snow down here, but it's always just raining. It's so annoying. It's miserable weather, mate. We'll focus so much on the striker in the next week, then it will be down to opportunities for centre back and left back, and that's my fear a little bit. Cause it's just it's that would be negligence, and also I've said this before. Like it pissed me off if this happened last January. Was it January or maybe in the summer? We'll wait until like deadline day, and then we'll be linked with a loan move to to this season's Trevor Chalobah. Obviously, he's at Palace, but that sort of deal, and it will be so like predictable. But maybe we'll get surprised, and we need that reinforcement. And it'd be a waste to wait until the end of the month as well. It would be a waste. Gary says, "Yeah, that was Kolo Muani you're talking about. What's happening, bro? How you doing, mate? Spinach, how you doing? Are we signing Kolo? Where you did it snow in Essex for a night, lol. Oh, it did snow in Essex. Oh, you're in Essex. It's not too far from me. I'm in Kent. And it just fucking rains all the time. It's so miserable. Okay, so Kolo Muani, should we get into it? So obviously Paul O'Keefe sort of told us that he was the striker we're interested in. Fabrizio Romano, that was the other person. Plettigal was talking about it as well. But Fabrizio Romano said that we've now approached PSG for sort of the conditions of the deal. David Ornstein said the same. Ben Jacobs, he said the same. And Plettigal said that we're seriously interested in him. We're sort of going about it. The word keeps being used as approach, which makes me think, and we're all being told that it's a hard deal to do. Paul O'Keefe says that Ange wants a versatile forward. It's a hard deal to do, but we'll have like a list, won't we? We'll have a sort of list of players to go for. I saw Zeus on Twitter. He was saying, "Would you rather us just get Kolo Muani or a surprise forward, sort of like a mystery box signing, like Lange did for Kinski?" I bet no one would have thought Kinski would have been the goalie that we signed, and we signed him overnight, pretty much. So, let me know in the chat if there's a signing that would you rather Kolo Muani and know it's Kolo Muani and it happens, or fucking Kinski, or like a mystery box signing, an attacker, maybe a right winger, predominantly right winger, that can cover the forward any position in the forward line. That's the thing though. If you're looking at opportunities on the market that can cover for striker, left mid, right mid, Kolo Muani is kind of the one. But we got a lot of competition. So the other clubs interested are Juventus, Man United, Aston Villa, and I think Bayern Munich. Let me know if there's any other clubs interested, but that's off the top of my head. That's coming from the likes of David Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, Fabrizio Romano. So there's a lot of clubs in the race, and if it comes down to a bidding war, or a team that's going to pay more wages, we're going to pull out quick. We are going to pull out like really, really quick. So I'm at the stage where it's exciting. we're getting linked to these. We're getting early links in the window, but I don't want to. I don't want to put any bets on Kolo Muani signing for Spurs yet because we all know how this sort of works. It'll be a dragged out negotiation, trying to get that price down. They're asking for 50 to 60 million, which is I just think is like ridiculous. But again, they signed him for 95 mil 15 months ago, which is a bit of a red flag in itself, to be honest. But if 50 to 60 million is what they're going to be looking for, but apparently there's a bit of leeway there to negotiate it down. So maybe we can get him for a reasonable price on an option. I think I'd definitely rather an option over an obligation because it is still that bit of a risk where he comes in, he could be shite, and then we're like, fucking hell, we're going to drop 35 mil or 40 mil on him in the summer. Kind of has to be an option. His wages, he's going to be on wages that will break our wage structure. Let's be honest, if he's at PSG. And I think probably you said there, Jack Grealish, same problem there. Like how we're going to be spending weeks trying to negotiate down the wages, aren't we? If we're signing that type of player. Same with Grealish, Rashford. Same with Rashford. So it'll be interesting to see how competitive we are if the likes of Juventus, Aston Villa are in there. I mean, Duran's linked with a swap deal, is he? I know Man United. There's a bit of a domino effect with Juventus and Man United because Xerxes is linked with Juventus. I think he's linked with like an early return to the Serie A after like 6 months, and that if Xerxes goes to Juventus, Kolo Muani is that sort of player to come in and replace him straight away. But also I'm guessing he'd be more of a number 9 ahead of Rasmus Højlund at the moment because of his form. I'm guessing that's the way they do that. They play that, but then Juventus would get Xerxes. So I can see that materializing, but I just can't see us. I mean, can you see us beating Man United, Juventus, wage-wise, and sort of attraction-wise? I know Man United are a fucking mess at the moment. I know Juventus are a mess at the moment as well. Aston Villa, funny enough, are probably the most attractive club out of them all. But I'm worried. I can't see this actually materializing for Spurs. It's clear that we want him, but I can't see it happening. But let me know what you reckon. Randall Kolo Muani's on 150k a week. I mean, that's too much. That's too much. Fucking Werner came in January. I know Leipzig. Are we covering his old wage? I think we are. And he's one of our highest paid players, and he's just not cutting it. We don't want to risk another situation where that's happening again, in my opinion. I think I would. I mean, if we can get the deal done quick, like great. I would be happy and content with Muani, to be honest. But there's a bit of that mystery signing. Maybe Angie's using this as a smokescreen. That does get me excited. But then again, Lange's talent ID ain't actually that good, is it? Let's be honest. Like, do we trust him to get someone who's a bit more of a mystery and come in a bit younger or a bit more fits our structure, or and maybe that dribbly winger that we're all wanting on that predominantly on the right the right wing? I don't know. It's tempting, isn't it? But I just don't trust Lange to do it. Mystery for the dopamine. Billy says, "Yeah, mate, I'm with you, mate. I'm craving a bit of dopamine." And the January transfer window, you get the weirdest links. So even if there is like a transfer that sort of comes about, you don't know whether you're going to get that instant dopamine yet or not, because we can get some weird, stupid. I mean, Sam Johnston, I didn't get dopamine for that. I mean, did you? I was fucking fuming. But mystery player. How much dopamine would I get if we sign Muani? Now there's other clubs involved, I probably would sign Muani for the dopamine. But if you're thinking about it, could be used as a smokescreen for another player. Obviously, we know Lange likes to work in a bit of darkness. Or it could be you're naming all these teams that we're fighting for his signature for, which I don't think this is the case, but for a bit of PR, like the board need to win the fans back over. If we can negotiate a deal for Muani and beat all the competition for him and all these like top like European giants, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Man United, we can beat them to the sign of the Muani. It looks really good for our recruitment team. But I don't think that's true, and I don't see him picking us over over the likes of them, even if they are struggling as well this season, those teams. Richarlison on a purple patch is the one he can play across the front line. Yeah, he's fucking made glass, though, isn't he? I mean, if Richarlison miraculously comes back and starts acting like David Goggins and like nothing phases him, then sweet. Focus on centre backs and left backs, but he can't last 20 minutes. Man United are trying to do something with him and Rashford, I'm sure. Yeah, that's it. I mean, Rashford to PSG in a swap deal with Kolo Muani. I mean, you can see it, kind of. You can see it from both ends. Daily Hotspur have just posted that we have had a bid rejected for Colombian Richard Rios from Palmeiras. I've heard about that player. He had a really good what's it called? The South American International competition. But I don't the Copa America. Apparently he was really good for Colombia, but let me see that. What source is that? Daily Hotspur. Let me have a little look on Twitter quick. Because that would be interesting. Is he more of a box-to-box midfielder? Again, is that something we need? And I feel like most agents are going to use our name because our squad's so light at the moment because there's so many injuries. I bet we're an agent's dream to try and promote a player and say, "Oh, Spurs are sniffing around for him," and it's kind of believable because we've got so many injuries at the moment. I can sort of see that being a bit bullshit. And again, would you be pissed off if we signed him? I'd think, why are we signing him? It's a bit random. Like, we need a centre back, or a left back or an attacker. Like, he's none of them things. It's something maybe you look at in the summer. But the source they've used is Area Napoli. I wouldn't believe. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that one bit unless it's maybe a signing that we make like Bergvall, where we sign him and then loan him back. And just get that deal done ahead of the summer. I don't see that happening at all. Didn't Villa agree terms with Marlon from Dortmund? Yeah, that's true actually, Gary. That kind of rules them out unless they sell Duran. I don't know what the situation there is there, or there could be a swap deal there. I think swap deals in January kind of make sense for a lot of teams. I mean, that's where I think Man United, they've got players that PSG kind of want. Man United linked with Nuno Mendes as well, aren't they, from PSG? There's a couple of deals there that they could sort of look at for opportunities. PSG are going to be promoting the sale of Kolo Muani. I know they're going to try and negotiate a high price, but they want him off the books. Who do they want to replace Kolo Muani? I can't remember. There's a player there. I think it's Nkunku. Ben Jacobs is reporting that it's Christopher Nkunku that they're looking to bring in PSG, and that Chelsea aren't in the race for Kolo Muani, but that's who they're looking in straight away to bring in to replace him. So they want him out. They definitely want him out, and they definitely want this deal to probably happen quick so they can get Christopher Nkunku in. Maybe that benefits us, but I just don't know. It will be a really hard deal to do. Just catching up on the comments, but I don't know if it. I don't know if it would actually materialise. To be honest, the moment we're up against super teams from Muani, I wrote that one off. Says Darren. Yeah. I feel like as Spurs fans, the last thing we kind of want is hope. And I know we are quite hopeful, but it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? As soon as there's a transfer link, the amount of times we've been so excited for a transfer, and then again, the Kolo Muani deal isn't something that that sort of unites the fan base. There's definitely some divided opinions on it, but as soon as there's a deal that looks like it's kind of accelerating, there's murmurs, and then there's a couple of high respected journalists, trusted journalists reporting it, then other team will sort of snatch them from our grasp. It's so. I mean, remember the year we signed Kulusevski, it was pretty much nailed on. Even Ali Gold was reporting it. They were signing Luis Diaz. Liverpool came in and he went to Liverpool. It's like, I can kind of see that happening with Kolo Muani. Maybe there's some reports coming out that in the next couple of days that Muani's likes the idea of playing for Postecoglou or whatever it is, and then he still signs for the team that maybe not even in the race yet, because he's a player on the market. There's definitely clubs that are going to look for him over the next month who can afford him. because like wage-wise. We beat Barcelona and Bayern in recent January windows. Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, Bertha and Dragusin. I wish we didn't fucking beat Bayern Munich to Dragusin, but yeah, we'll save that for the podcast tomorrow. No, we're paying like 70% of Werner, which still makes him our third highest, which is ridiculous if that's true. Because I think he's on like 200k a week, which is fucking that is nuts. He's still living off that season from 5 years ago, isn't he? Before lockdown. In fact, he's built a whole career off that, isn't he? 150k on loan with an option is more than reasonable, I think, especially when Werner is on 10k a week more, says Archie. Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. That's going to be, if we do get more money in, that's going to be the wage that he probably will be on. He's probably on way more than that at the moment. Doesn't want to take a pay cut. He probably wants to play, but that's the most I'd probably spend on him, because he would be one of our highest paid players. And in a couple of years, with Son leaving, he probably will be like our highest paid player. And do you really want that happening? I don't know. Because when Son, I think who's our highest earners? It's Son, must be Madison and maybe Romero. Maybe not Romero, but if Romero signs a new contract, it definitely will be. Loan players' wages are accounted for differently to contracted players. So for a straight loan, we would probably be more lenient. Simon Hester as kit man, no wages, mate. I'd give my third nut to be the kit man at Spurs. Just to sort of be in that environment, see what it really is like. Because wouldn't you love to be behind the scenes if we had an all or nothing documentary? Wouldn't this season kind of be perfect to see like what Postecoglou's persona is actually like at half times, at end games, how much he loses? Because we've seen him lose his shit a few times in public. It would be pretty mad to see what he's like in dressing rooms and in the recent results as well, because we've had so many consecutive defeats. It would be interesting to see how he conducts himself in the change room to try and spark some sort of reaction. Because I mean, he's losing his composure a little bit in press conferences, which is understandable. But imagine being able to be a fly on the wall in the change rooms and seeing Postecoglou just fucking lob boots at Dragusin or something like that. Thoughts on Evan Ferguson? Yeah, I'm happy you brought that up, Billy. I'll talk about him in a minute. I forgot to note him down. How would you feel about, before I get into him, let me know, how would you feel about Evan Ferguson? A little bit out of favour at Brighton. They want to loan him. I mean, he was linked with last year. It would have been about 100 mil to sign Evan Ferguson, but he's had a few injuries, which does sort of alarm me, because our injury, I mean, the way we're playing right now and how many injuries we have, the worst thing we could possibly do is sign an injury-prone player. That would be negligence. You might as well not fucking react in January if you're going to sign someone who's always injured. But yeah. But yeah, I'll get into Evan Ferguson in a minute. Let me know what you think about that. Remember that Dragusin had chosen Spurs dopamine? Oh my god, it was ridiculous. I stayed up all night for that dopamine. I was so happy and I was so sure that we'd and that's my worry as well. Like when I'm looking at YouTube compilations like Kinski, I'm actually really excited about Kinski, but they do make you look so good. And Dragusin looked like the fucking second coming of Chiellini, and he when he was a youngster, a teenager, he was around Chiellini, Bonucci, all these leaders. And I was thinking, yeah, the way he plays is he's an old school defender, no nonsense. He looks like he had a ping on him, and fucking hell, like nothing of that has like come to, has it? And the thing that frustrates me, I'll get into this tomorrow with Ben, but the thing that frustrates me so much about him is that the way he plays is a bit of a throwback. That sort of all-out defender, that ultimate defender. He's the thing that I would have thought he had would be a bit of leadership. Like he plays how old school. I mean, I'm trying to think of how to say this. Like I would have thought the way he plays, he would be a leader on the pitch and like command his box, shouting at everyone. But he's like mute. Can he talk? Can he talk? Like I know he's young. I know he's like 22, but his positioning's terrible. He can't play out from the back. He can't do any long passes really. I feel like I'm going. It's way too harsh, but. And I know he was ill coming into the Newcastle game, but the second goal was atrocious. And the thing is, he doesn't dictate his line. He's the actual defender in that back line, and yet Archie Gray looks like a more of a leader than him. Holding that line, he's playing out for the back. He looks more composed, and he's not even a centre back. He's an 18-year-old kid. It's like ridiculous. Like he's Dragusin's being so shown up this season, and it's looking more and more like a terrible signing. Which kind of makes me a bit skeptical about. I mean, it does make me skeptical about who we bring in January. Is it going to be another sort of Dragusin deal, sort of a signing for the sake of it? That's what it felt like in hindsight. But yeah, I would have thought he'd have that sort of old school centre back mentality, dictating everyone, screaming at everyone, being that leader, and he just isn't that either. But Darren says, Bayern Munich were laughing at us. They pretend to be interested in Dragusin to get back at us at the way Levy dragged the Kane deal. Yeah, probably. I wouldn't mind the loan option unless we can get David from Lille. Yeah, name me some attacking targets that you think realistically we could look at and that you would look at, because Jonathan David's another one I can talk about. I was refreshing Twitter every 5 minutes past midnight, and he had to decide us or Bayern. Mate, I was the same. I felt like a fucking dick. Solanke, Richarlison, and Ferguson would not be a bad options. Figure 2 of the 3 should stay healthy. Yeah, you never know. Richarlison fucking pull his hamstring walking down the stairs, and Ferguson seems like he's the sort of he's that type as well. But I mean, if you're looking at pure potential, Ferguson looks the deal. But when Danny Welbeck's playing over for your club, it's a bit worrying. I know Danny Welbeck's actually quite good, but yeah. AI Score Wages says this: Son 190k, Maddison 170k, Romero 165k. So he'd be our fourth highest earner. Yeah, I mean, realistically, he'd probably be on 150, wouldn't he? Probably. I put Ferguson in the same category as Archie Gray and Bergvall. Very talented, but a few years away to see their true talents. Yeah, I agree. And if we ever do, because obviously we talked about his injury history. 17 days until I land at Heathrow. What game are you coming to, Proby? What's the game that you were going to come to? It's exciting. Square peg and a round hole in terms of profile for Dragusin. How much do you think he goes for in the summer? Yeah, unless we get another Conte Mourinho type manager, Dragusin should definitely go in the summer. Like no doubts about it. Cut our losses, and even that, I don't even know if we. I actually kind of think we can get our money back because he's so highly rated in Italy, and his agent's so good at waffling and trying to and promote him, isn't he? He'll try to make you think that he's signing the next. I mean, he was saying he should have been going to Real Madrid. That's his ambition. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Fucking hell. I feel like Dragusin's his agent's only client, and he just puts he does everything in his power to try and get him the best move possible. Because I mean, Real Madrid, he looks like an idiot for suggesting it, but I kind of rate it because he fooled us. He's probably gonna fool the next Serie A club that signs him back. And let's not forget, Juventus were pretty happy to let him go as well. And Genoa, he was, I mean, no point. We'll get into it tomorrow, but he'll definitely go in the summer. And that's the thing. How many centre backs are we going to sign in the summer? Because obviously, Vuskovic is coming in. I still think we need another centre back, maybe even 2 more centre backs if we sell Dragusin, which I think we should. Leicester. Okay, you'll be back for the Leicester game. That could be a win as well, maybe. You never know. You never know at the moment, but that could be a win. Right, so I want to talk about Jonathan David. Is it Sky? Was it Carver or something like that? Is it Carver? But a journalist on Sky Sports is reporting that there's been 4 clubs that have approached to sign Jonathan David on a pre-contract agreement. Obviously, he's got 6 months left on his contract, so he can sign he can start talking to clubs now and sign on a free in the summer. I actually think if it's the free signing does intrigue me. I think if we can sign a versatile forward that can cover the front line in January, and that's good. But if we can get Jonathan David in, I don't know. I feel like it's the same with everyone. I don't actually know if I rate him. I don't. Every time I see him play, and everyone says this, but it's true. He doesn't hold his own, and he sort of goes through games. but he manages to get goals all the time. Who was the is it Immobile? Immobile for Lazio. He would always have like 35 goals every Serie A game, and no one would ever see him score a goal. And it's the same with Jonathan David. He always gets like high goal contributions season by season. He won the league with Lille 4 or 5 years ago, when Poch was PSG manager. Yet I've never seen him actually score a goal apart from on YouTube compilations. And I know he scores a lot of penalties. He takes penalties for Lille. Scored a rebound goal for Lille in the Champions League. Can't remember who against, but it was against like a really good team. Was it Atletico Madrid? And he scored a penalty. I think it was Atletico Madrid. But if you're looking at the age profile, his pressing stats, he would be a decent backup striker to Solanke. Just ease anything to ease Solanke, because Solanke is pivotal to us. We need to really build the team around him and Kulusevski, alongside that spine of Van der Ven, Romero, and a potential 6. Someone that can come in and take games off Solanke, and you don't see that drop off in the intensity of the press, etc. Could be good. But Jonathan David, for a free transfer, I'd definitely take it. I'd even take it now on a deal where we give him a bit of money. At least have Lille have a little bit of money. If it's going to happen in the summer, we might as well sort of accelerate it and bring him in now. But Jonathan David, a little bit underwhelming, but I would take it at the moment. I would 100%. I am a little bit worried about the weight of our team and the size of our team. We have quite a few slight players, and we're not good at our aerial ability as a collective isn't good. And Jonathan David is good. He's decent in the air, but he's 5'10", is he? And I think he's quite slight. I do worry about him. I do worry about who we bring in next. Like, if you have, for example, I'm thinking about the right winger signing. I'm a massive advocate for bringing in Mbuemo if we can, in the summer, if no one else does. But then you're looking at that right hand side. You got 2 5'7" players playing on the right hand side. It's like teams can target that. They can put. I don't know. We have to find the right balance. So I guess Jonathan David's height sort of worries me a little bit. The opposite for Evan Ferguson. Like, he's a proper physical 20-year-old striker, for Premier League ready, Premier League proven, made of glass. But he has everything, every element you need in a Premier League striker, and he would fit the system. A little bit of a different option to Solanke, and his potential scary. It's just whether he can stay fit. That's my only worry. I do think we bring in this month. The board needs to have an idea of profile they are looking for. If we let go of Ange by the end of the season, attackers for me: Jonathan David, Nicholas Khan from Celtic. Yeah, Nicholas Khan. He's another one though. He's like 5'7", and we're looking at that sort of size range. I do worry about our recruitment, because he'd be on the right hand side with Pedro Porro. I don't know. Does size matter? I don't think it does, but I mean, Arsenal and Man. Talk about players. Arsenal and Man City are they're sort of breaking the mold of the new recruitment strategy. You need to bring in these big physical players and kind of win the game in the dugout before a ball's even kicked, kind of, and set pieces, all the tiny elements of the game that you can win, all the little advantages you can get, and size. It's important at the moment, and it's the sort of meta that teams are looking for, and I feel like we should look for as well. We need to look to do as well. I don't know where the energy is coming from. Solanke, let's hope he is not drug tested, mate. I'm worried about Solanke and Kulusevski, because I know Solanke had an injury at the beginning of the season. Them two run, it's like they've down 10 Red Bulls between the both of them, and they just get out there and they just never stop running. And I don't know how they haven't got injured, because our whole team's crumbling around them, and they're the consistent runners, and they set that example. They set the press, and they haven't got injured, or they haven't really looked like they've looked leggy a few times. But it's like, it's mental how nothing's happened to them, and I feel like I've just jinxed it. Touch wood, but I don't. I wouldn't be surprised if they get injured soon, sort of thing. That's why we need to bring in players that attacker quick. Because what happens if we then lose one of them? I mean, we're fucked. They're the only positives this season. actually a massive positive from the weekend, Lucas Bergvall. I thought that we were probably going to loan him, if not this month in the summer, and now I'm thinking he's our best player. We'll get into it tomorrow, and tune in for the pod tomorrow. Me and Ben, it'll be in the morning, so it'll be released some point in the afternoon. I'm looking forward to it because it was a loss, but it was a game that you can definitely take a lot of positives from, which we will do because obviously me and Ben do look at the sort of bright side, and there is a few positives to sort of run with during these tough times. Just looking at the running order, I don't think there's anything else because I think we talked about Douglas Luiz. The smoke screen option. Oh, no, we have talked about the smoke screen option. And I think that's everything I wanted to talk about today. I don't know if there's any other players that I haven't mentioned, but positives, a lot of positives. We're making moves. We're being aggressive, making contact. We've made an approach for Kolo Muani. Maybe we're one of the clubs for Douglas Luiz. Who knows? I think that's a bit of like optimism. But Kolo Muani is. I'd be really happy with him if we could just get that done. It looks like it'd have to drag on, which is a bit worrying because of the teams interested for the complications in the deal. But I'd draw the line at. But first of all, I don't want to buy obligation. I draw the line at 35 mil. I don't think we should be spending more than 35 mil. And his wages do concern me. If he's on 150k a week, I can kind of just about justify it. But we're desperate and times are hard, and January is all about these types of deals and being opportunistic and if someone becomes available who does fit the system, who's a versatile forward, maybe we just go for him. 26 matches the age range that we're kind of looking for. That experienced player that still has years to sort of grow as a player. It'll be interesting to see what comes back in the next couple of days. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for all the support as well. Matthew Seppala, thanks for the shout out yesterday. I really appreciate that. Enjoy your evening. And we'll be back tomorrow with we'll talk about these transfers as well because I want to get Ben's take on it. And we'll talk about the Newcastle game and then look towards the Liverpool game. Last thing, Kinski is available to play. He'll definitely play, won't he? There's no way we play with Austin. But it's exciting. We're seeing a player come in straight away and start for us. I mean, how much dopamine are we going to get when he makes penalty save or something? When are we playing? What day is it? I'm all over the place. Is it Wednesday or Thursday? Anyways, legends, thanks so much for joining. Have a great night. Take care. Up the Spurs.